Hey guys, it's Techguy Talks Tech. I'm just listening to music at the moment, but hopefully I can actually make this work. The YOTAPHONE is coming soon. It's not available in America yet, it's not available in the UK yet, but the countries that it's currently available are in is Russia, Spain, Germany, France, and one more country and I can't remember which one. I've just looked at it 5 minutes ago. The YOTAPHONE is... Right, it's got an LCD display, like 960 by... It's not a 720p display. It's not a 1080p display. It's actually like mid specs of what top of the range phones are now. Normally, top of the range phones have about Snapdragon 800 processors in them. Hopefully, you can hear me because at the moment this car's going past. Usually, top of the range phones have like Snapdragon 800 processors and. More are coming up to like Snapdragon 805 processors. These are normally clocked at 2.2 gigahertz at quad core level, and that's normally the level of top of the range phones lately. The YOTAPHONE was announced CES 2012, and it's took this long to actually get an announcement and to actually get a release date for it. The company that's creating it is Yoto itself, and they've just created it named after the company. It's what I think of it. If enough companies latch onto the idea of a YOTAPHONE, it'll actually kick off. It's just like the Pebble smartwatch. If enough people actually get on a smartwatch, then it'll be a killer. I don't think Pebble will actually be the future of smartwatches, and I don't think Pebble will be the future of technology, but it's merging that gap between phones and wearable techs. Like, it's the next step forward. I don't think wearable tech is the way forward, but I don't think smartwatches are the way there. I think the person who's got it most inclined to at the moment is Google Glass. I know this video might be long because I'm walking home and I'm thinking off the top of my head, and I'm also listening to music at the same time. The Pebble smartwatch has an e-ink display, and the only time it ever uses battery is updating that screen, and it's fantastic. Obviously you've got the Bluetooth connection, but the Pebble only uses battery when you're actually using the screen update or using the screen. And this is the same thing with the YOTAPHONE. It's got an LCD display on the front, and then on the back of the phone it's got an e-ink display, and it can display your music that's playing at the moment. It can display messages, say like, because you normally have your phone face down on the table. It'll display notifications on the backside if it detects that it's on, if it's got the backside up. So it'll light up the display saying there's a message from your mum saying this, and then you turn the face up and you do that. You get phone calls, notifications, emails, all coming through on the e-ink display, and it doesn't use that much battery. It uses a fraction of the milliamp hours that's actually in there. It uses like a fraction of a 1 out of the milliamp hours to update that e-ink display. It's got a 1.7 dual core processor at Kayak. It's not a Snapdragon, and that's actually mid-range specs, which I said before. And it is, the e-ink display will actually be a killer. Yeah, this music's distracting me. You've got airplane tickets that you need to, because when you're on a phone and you've got something like Passbook, normally it's all going to the smartphones now. You've got plane tickets that are going to the smartphone, or Starbucks vouchers, or etc. But if you've got this, if you go onto your system and you swipe down 2 fingers from the notification center, or they might have changed it now since 4.2 Jelly Bean brings in the quick setting features that we've known to love of Jelly Bean. 2 fingers swipe down and you're able to toggle notifications on and off. And I think they might have changed this now, but it used to be where you're using your Android phone, using 4-point, and you do two finger swipe down from the notification center, and it brings up, and it takes a screenshot of that and transfers it to the e-ink display. And now that could be useful, because if you're rushing around an airport and you're thinking, oh, where's my plane ticket? I've got it on my phone somewhere. Well, you can then go onto the application, send it to the e-ink display, and then it'll be there constantly until you refresh it with a new image. So it'll be there constantly, and even if you put it face down on the table or something, it'll display your messages. And once you've gone and unlocked your phone, or like done a dismiss of the notification on the ink display, it'll go back to your previous screenshot that you already had. So you won't lose that plane ticket. So you're not rushing around going, oh, where's the plane ticket I had? And a new song. I'm listening to the GTA 5 soundtrack walking home. Thank God I'm not listening to the Last of Us soundtrack. And it's quite a good application. I'd say it's not the next phone I'm actually getting, but it's certainly a step. Like most phones today, they just bring out, and I know this is going to sound like, I know it's a way forward, but most phones now don't actually have home buttons, because they're all using the on-screen buttons that we've found on Honeycomb and above. Because they don't really have to manufacture capacitive buttons or touch sensitive buttons such as found on the Samsung Galaxy devices. They don't need to manufacture them buttons. All they do is write the software, put in those virtual buttons in, and you're done. It's dead easy. So that's why we're just seeing slabs of glass, no buttons, no touch sensitive buttons, because it costs no more money to make. If you just make the screen and then add in that little software, then you don't need to add anything, and you don't need to add more money. This is why we're all going touch sensitives, and that's the standard of smartphones that are coming today. It's just basically slabs of glass, a power button, like most well, after the LG G2, there was this double tap to unlock on your smartphone, and on the LG G2, you've got a power button and the volume buttons on the back. So you've cut down on the bezel, and you've cut down on the actual width of the device by a marginal size, because you don't have to counter in the power button, you don't have to counter in the volume buttons, and all the buttons are on the back. So they've come out of a way of LG double tap to wake, so the digitizer is always on, but the LCD is not. And that's the standard of smartphones. That I do like the standard of smartphones that's going now, but they're all just getting plain, and by the time we reach 2015, it's just going to be the same phones, different look, different specs, much better specs, and that's all it's going to be. So at least another company out there like YOTA really are creating this phone where it tries to challenge the standard of smartphones by bringing an e-ink display to the devices. Since I do believe the iPhone did change a lot of the iPhone, and it did change the standard of smartphones that we now see today. We just see basic power buttons and home button and volume buttons. That's all we basically see in smartphones today, and it's the same. And then that starts to wear thin. Anything wears thin after you've used it for well, the iPhone came out in 2007, 6-7 years ago, and it's now 2014, and they brought that out. And the previous phones that came out, among them that were classed as smartphones, were mainly used for business. They had a full QWERTY keyboard, and even Steve Jobs said in his presentation, what if the manufacturers want to add a menu button or an extra button, then they have to bring out a new phone then? And then he said, well, we're getting rid of this full QWERTY keyboard, and we're just keeping it a standard for all times. It's just a home and a power button. Even Steve Jobs said the iPhone is 5 years ahead of any other smartphone that's on the market, and in a way he was right. I know Android started picking up later on, like with Android 4.4, KitKat, Android Jelly Bean, and Ice Cream Sandwich, they were possibly the best iterations of Android. Nobody really liked Honeycomb. It was mainly used for tablets, and then there was come on, car, move. And then Gingerbread just had compatibility issues all over the place. It's the most widely used Android operating system to date. And then they used 4.4 KitKat. That changed. Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean was the first proper version of Android that cut down on the system limitations, and it cut down on the system requirements to actually use the Android operating system, therefore opening the platform to all other mobile devices that weren't capable of actually running Ice Cream Sandwich. 11 minutes. I doubt any people are going to watch this at 11 minutes, and then I'm just talking out my ass. And I just love talking out my ass, it's funny. Yeah, I digress. I want to see somebody. I want to see somebody at the moment bring out a solely e-ink display Android smartphone that they could use. I know that it's not ideal for media consumption and it's not ideal for messaging, but if they brought out a QWERTY keyboard enabled e-ink display device and brought it out with like medium specs, dual core, like standard at 1.2 gigahertz, and they just brought it out with e-ink display, and the battery would last for ages. Like obviously you'll have to have some UI tweaks. I'm not necessarily talking about Android, but if you just had an e-ink display, solely e-ink display, that all did, and it was really thin as well because of the e-ink display, and it was really thin because of the cores, and the battery life was say 300 milliamp hours or 1,000 milliamp hours, and all you used it for was phone calls and text. That's all you used it for, and it would be really thin. You'd be able to slot it anywhere into your bag. It would be $50, $100, and it would last forever. And I know that sounds like, oh, why don't you buy a Nokia 3210? Those battery lives last for ages. Well, we're living in the 21st century now, so why don't you buy a phone which has an e-ink display, and all it does it for is phone calls and texts? Maybe not even a QWERTY keyboard. Just keep it thin. Just keep it on an e-ink display. No LCD, because LCD is a massive drainer. Why do you think Kindles? Why do you think Kindle readers have e-ink displays? The only time the Kindle reader actually ever uses battery is when it's updating the screen, which is roughly every page, or when you're navigating menus, and that's possibly why what really does it for e-ink displays and Kindles. Yeah. Plus, LCDs are just a massive battery drainer. Like, if I think somebody, like, we did it with OLED displays, because with OLED displays, they only light up the pixels that are actually lit. So if it was the same on the Moto X, you had this notification access thing within the Moto X's UI, and if you had a notification you could push down this, and it was mainly a black screen with white writing over your notifications, a picture of the person, and it would be your message, and only the white pixels would have been lit up, while the black pixels would have been left in the dark. Not have been lit up, not using battery, they would have just been left. And this is why there was amazing battery life on the Moto X. Plus it had great, what Motorola are doing at the moment, they're doing great things with their phones, and I know I talk about this a lot, but there should be more optimization within batteries. Like the iPhone has a great optimized system for batteries. Android devices have maybe 1,800 milliamp hours built into them, ranging from 2,300. That's like roughly the standard. At the moment, I'm currently rocking a Galaxy Nexus with 3,600 milliamp hours in it, and that gets me about. I was running a ROM of 4.4 KitKat, and then I just thought I'm missing Python. Right, I was using a ROM called Paranoid Android 3.0 Plus, and I got Pi controls and Halo, which is kind of like a notification bubble that lives on the side, and you can dismiss applications and it disappears. And what disappoints me about Nexus devices is that you can't automatically hide the notification bar that lives at the bottom of the phone, so you've got to live with it. And this is what I put in my blog about 6 months ago. I wanted Google to see this, and it was a navigational. It was something like hiding the navigational bar, so that you could actually use the full potential of your screen, just like what they've done in 4.4 KitKat. Like, they've released the APIs. Like YouTube have the ability of, when you're viewing videos in the YouTube application, that the navigational bar would disappear, giving you the 16:9 ratio. And they obviously had this API in place, but they didn't let anyone use it until 4.4 KitKat, which was the reason why I did my blog in the first place. And I wanted people to be aware that they could actually get rid of the navigational bar using the full real estate of the screen. Because it's like, it could be about a cent, depending on what Android device you're actually running. You know, there's an ambulance just gone past. Yeah, I wanted people to realise that it could be about a centimetre added to your screen depending on what devices you're running. And it was just the obvious. I know I've said this before, but they obviously had this API in place, but they let it free for the developers to use it on their apps. I've seen a lot of apps that are actually utilising this now, because the most popular Android phones is Nexus devices and Galaxy devices, and now Galaxy devices don't really have the navigational bar, but the Nexus devices all have on-screen buttons, except from the Nexus 1, which was made by HTC, and it had capacitive buttons on the bottom. And then the Galaxy Nexus came along with its ice cream sandwich, and it had on-screen buttons. And then Jelly Bean came along, and then still had on-screen buttons. Nexus 4 came along with on-screen buttons, Nexus 5 on-screen buttons, and now with 4.4 KitKat, then if you're on your launcher, you can it will actually fade. You can still see the home buttons, you can still see the multitasking and back button, but you'll be able to see behind it, therefore relieving, making fit of the entire wallpaper of your display. And when I upgraded to 4.4, I had terrible battery life on Paranoid Android 3 Plus, and then I upgraded to 4.4, and there's a noticeable difference in battery life, but I missed Pi controls and Halo and using the full screen of real estate of my device. There was this mode called Eversion on 4.4 KitKat, and it let you disappear the navigational bars and the status bar, giving you full real estate. But in order to get back to those home buttons, back button, the multitasking buttons, navigational bar, you had to swipe down from the top, and then from the top you had to go back down to the bottom and then click it, and then click the home button. But on Paranoid Android 3.0 Plus, if you enable Pi controls, you were able to customise the way that your home button activates. Like, I slide up from the bottom, there's nothing there, and then I slide up from the bottom. There's back, home, multitasking and menu button. I've set them up properly, and I can see like people don't know how to use my phone because they're like, how do I get back? And it's like you slide up from the bottom and you go left, but they see me doing it that fast because I've been using the fact that phone forever and they're on, that it just becomes second nature. And I know it's not really the way forward for Android because you've got new users coming by, there's a strong smell of weed. You've got new users coming by who don't know how to work the device, so if they've got a plain sight of what they're actually doing, they've got the back button, they've got the home button, they've got the multitasking button, all on the bottom, they know where to go. But with new users, with paranoid Android, then it's going to be, with Pi controls as well, it's going to be a lot more steeper learning curve because you've got to slide up from the bottom and then home. It's, in a way, it's the most effective way that's my ideal Android experience because I'm using a full screen estate on my device. I've not got any problems navigating in it, and I'm able to do it as quick as if I had the navigational buttons on there. And Google won't do it, so third-party developers come in and change that up. So that gives people like me and other creators access to those things that are left running in Android. Yeah, this rant, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about next. I don't know. Yeah, and now I've gone back to Paranoid Android 3.0 and I'm now loving it again. And for some reason, when I've downgraded from 4.4 KitKat to 4.3 again, I've got better battery life for some reason, even though I didn't previously in the 4.3 ROM. I've upgraded to 4.4 and then gone back to 4.3, so I don't quite understand that. But I'm able to get more battery life out of it, which is fine by me. Like I've got the Pebble smartwatch and I've been using that with me iPod, and it's been constantly connected to music. Oh, here we go. Here's another thing to talk about. I've had the Pebble smartwatch for since about the 8th or the 10th, and it's now the 28th, and I've only had to charge it up once. Literally, I charged it on the first day I got it, and I charged it. Obviously, I charged it up on the first day I got it. That was like giving me that was make sure that it was actually running. But like the second time, and it's fantastic. I'm constantly using it. I've got it constantly connected to my iPod. I'm constantly switching music. The way I have my work set up is I'm in the cafeteria in work, and I have the earphones wrapped and the placed here like that under my shirt, obviously, because I don't want the boss seeing. And then I have my music loud so I can hear it, and it's clear enough that I can hear the vocals and I can hear the guitar and everything. And then when I see the manager, I go, oh shit, I pause the button, like, there you go, I've just paused it using the Pebble smartwatch, and it's discreet, and it's just like, it just looks like you're rubbing two hands together, and it's what I want to create. It's from this is my first prototype, but the second prototype, there's 3 prototypes. There's this way, and creating like a clip that goes on this shoulder, and then it brings it along and it puts it on your left shoulder. And then you've got the next prototype, which is basically a necklace that clips on. You just put it over your head, and there's 2 openings, and you place your earphone in that, and you place the other one in that, and then it's long enough so it can reach your ear, and it's long enough to go over your shoulder, over both of your shoulders. You start playing your music, and you're able to get a stereoscopic a stereo surround sound feel whilst you're walking around. Obviously, other people will be able to listen to your music, and it's not really ideal. But say if you're in work and you've not got a Pebble smartwatch, you just go into your pants and you turn it down like that, dead easy. The next prototype, which is, and hopefully this should be my final product, It's going to be quite expensive. There's these speakers that are round about now, and if you're stood like 20, right, let's just call it 200 yards. If you're stood 200 yards away from me, and then I point the speaker at you, this infrared speaker, if this speaker is directed at you, you will be the only one that will be able to hear this. Nobody else around you, not even a person that's 2 feet away from me, 2 feet away from the speaker. If I point the speaker at you, only you can hear it. And what I want to create is a necklace type, because these speakers are massive at the moment. They're about a foot, about 2 feet big, and they stand on poles, and they've all got connectors and crap like that. And what I want to create is a necklace form that goes on your left and right shoulder. They're pointed at your ears. And only you can hear it, but you can still hear out. So if a manager comes and goes, "Tom," you just go, "Yep," and you can still hear your music, but there's noise cancelling headphones, so not in the device itself. It doesn't. But if somebody's speaking to you, it'll automatically turn it down to a lower frequency, so you can actually hear out. But as soon as somebody stops talking to you, then the volume will pick up. This will, yeah. And hopefully for like final products, yeah, I know I talked about that was my final product, but it's not. Hopefully there's motion. For the third prototype, you've got the speakers that are, if you've pointed 200 miles away from you, you'll be able to hear, and only you will be able to hear. They're put on the left and right shoulder, and they're pointed at the ears, so you can get the best optimised experience. There's going to be motion detectors. Yeah. You've got motion detectors living in the necklace itself. It's going to be about somebody walking past there at a bar. Make it look like I'm just watching a YouTube video. There's motion sensors that are going to be built into the necklace, and it's going to detect where your ears are, so you're in always close proximity of the music that you're listening to. Because face it, music's a perfect and the most trendiest thing that you can have too. If people don't listen to music, then the classed as a low lifer. I don't mean that in a cruel way, but I don't mean classed in a low life type of way, but I mean like they looked shorter than anyone else, because they don't listen to music, and it's like, how do you not listen to music? So like, music is a big form of our lives. Look at the iPod. Like that's just a device solely based on music. And look at it, it's the most popular product that's created other than the iPhone, which is also an iPod. But saying that, the iPhone, the Apple anticipated the iPods drop in sales anyway. Yeah. So the iPhone came out, and Apple anticipated it because it was a widescreen iPod with touch controls, and then everybody started using their iPhone and started using Android devices for music streaming and music listening needs, and they just don't need the iPods anymore. So they've been either thrown away, given away, or they've just been put in a drawer. And that's just solely based on music. And look how much different the world has become ever since the first release of the iPod. Now we've got Spotify, we've got Grooveshark, we've got Pandora, all of these music streaming services that are actually extremely popular because people want to listen to music. So I know we've got Beats headphones and earphones. Usually, I know this is going back quite a while and I wasn't alive then, but during like the 1980s, it used to be fashionable to wear earphones. Like during the 1970s, you had boom boxes, and it was a joy to share your music with other people, because back then you found indie bands, and then you explored it with other people, and now like music's become a solely based form. Like, oh sure, you go out clubbing and you go out, you go to gigs and stuff, but it's different now because you're actually listening to music on your own, and there's a lot of teenagers out there that have to work, even me, have to work to music because it gets the blood flowing and stuff like that. And 14% battery left. Yeah, I went from 50% to 14. Half an hour video. I doubt that anybody's actually going to listen to this, and I'll try and listen to it back because I'm talking shit mainly, talking out my ass, which is what I do mainly. I love talking out my ass. It's the best way of talking out your ass, isn't it? What was I talking about? I don't know. I can't even remember what I was talking about 5 minutes ago. iPhone, iPod. I don't know. I was talking about the original iPhone. Yeah, just think of like next year. We don't know what's coming next year. We're apparently supposed to get a hydrator. Well, we've already got most things. Like in Back to the Future, they thought the fax machine was the future with communicating with people, and now it's used by 1 or 2 businesses. And I know that's like an under exaggeration. I don't know if that's a word, but it's an under exaggeration of what Back to the Future thought. Like, we're supposed to have flying cars. They haven't even invented flying cars yet. Well, they have, but it only lifts like 2 inches off the ground, and that's because it uses magnets. Yeah, bitch. Magnets. Yeah. Fucking hell, there's a car coming up. And it's not even invented that on that level. We're not even invented flying cars. So how does Back to the Future think that we're going to all be using flying cars in the next year? I don't know. It'll be expensive when it first comes out. It's just like 4K televisions. 4K televisions last year used to be 25 grand, and now they're nothing. You can pick one up for about $700, and I know I'm talking in American, but you can pick one up for $700. And the hoverboards as well. Hoverboards are actually real, using magnets as well, but in order to actually use them requires a lot of skill. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Back to the Future, like double ties. What the fuck is double tie? Who the fuck wants to use a double tie? Not a lot of people actually wear ties anymore. I'm scary. What else? Yeah. The next thing is 4K televisions, 8K televisions. I think it's 4K televisions is basically twice the resolution as 1080p displays, but it's 4 times the picture quality. No, actually, yeah, it's 2 times the resolution of 1080p displays, but it's 4 times better than it's 4 times the clarity, and it's 4 times the quality of 1080p displays. And that just, like, imagine it's 4 1080p displays in one picture. That's all it is. And yet at CES all they were talking about is 4Ks and curved displays and 4K curved displays, and that's all they were talking about. And then there's 8K. Somebody brought out a fucking 8K television, and I don't even know what the image looks on that. It's probably better than our human eyes can see, and I just don't see the point. I see the point in 1080p displays because on our phones, because they're right up close to our screen. We need to see we can't see the pixels, but say like 1080p displays at 5 feet away, you can't see the pixels at all, unless you're a gamer sitting in a small room and you're going, oh my god, look at the pixels, I can see them. But it's all about the standard of the smartphones. Like, we've already got 2K and 4K phones now, and I just don't see the point exactly. It's useless. We need to come up with a better battery. Other than lithium ion and lithium polymer, we need to come up with a different type of battery to actually power our phones. What I want to see at the moment is a company utilising fuel cells, and this, you put water in the engine, hydrogen. You put hydrogen in the engine, and then there's an oxygen tank that lives in there, and the hydrogen pumps through the oxygen tank, creates water, and then from that water creates electricity, and then that forms the fuel that actually runs the car. And that's what we're going to see in the future. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next blackout in a bit.